If you are planning to move to Germany to work, you have probably heard about something called the Germany Opportunity Card. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Educhum Perspective. We are going to talk about one important traveling opportunity today. If you are planning to move to Germany to work, you have probably heard about something called the Germany Opportunity Card. Maybe you are wondering, can I apply? Do I qualify? Does Germany recognize my degree? Do I need recognition? How many points do I need? If these and many more are the questions on your mind, or you don't even understand what the Germany Opportunity Card is all about, then you are watching the right video. Today, I am going to explain the Germany Opportunity Card step by step, using only official German government information. By the end of this video, you will understand the requirements, the 2 ways to qualify, how to check your qualifications, how the point system works, how to use the official self-check, and finally, how to submit your application. So, let's get started.
Now, before we look at the requirements, let's first understand what the Germany Opportunity Card actually is. The Germany Opportunity Card, also known as the Chancenkarte, is a residence permit that allows qualified professionals from non-European Union countries to travel to Germany and search for employment. Unlike traditional work visas, you don't necessarily need a job offer before entering Germany. Did you hear that? Instead, if you meet the eligibility requirements, you can travel to Germany first and look for suitable employment while you're there. This creates a legal pathway for qualified professionals to connect directly with German employers and explore career opportunities across the country. Germany is currently facing a shortage of skilled workers across a wide range of industries. To help address this challenge, the German government introduced the Opportunity Card, making it easier for qualified professionals from around the world to come to Germany and look for work. Instead of securing a job before traveling, eligible applicants can enter Germany legally, search for employment, attend interviews, and connect directly with potential employers. If they find a suitable job, they can then move on to the next steps required for long-term employment in Germany.
One thing I would like to point out before we continue is that many people believe everyone applying for the Opportunity Card follows exactly the same process. But wait, that's not exactly, actually the case. Depending on your qualifications, there are 2 different pathways to qualify. Understanding which pathway applies to you is probably the most important part of this entire application process. And that's exactly what we are going to break down step by step. Here is how this guide is organized. First, we will look at the basic requirements. Then we will explore the 2 qualification pathways. After that, I will show you how to check whether your qualification is recognized in Germany or not. We will also go through the official point system, the government self-check tool, and finally, the complete application process. Everything you will see is based on official German government resources. Alright, now that you understand the Opportunity Card and what it is all about, why Germany introduced it, let's begin with the first thing every applicant needs to know. And that is, what are the basic requirements? Okay, right now let's get to the federal government website to fetch out for the information. So let's type make it in Germany. So we click on the first link, make it in Germany. This brings us to the official website. Now, under the menu here, we click Visa and Residence. Beneath it, we look for opportunity card Germany. We click it. Below, we have job search opportunity card. We click it. Please kindly follow the cursor movement. Thank you. Job search opportunity card. Here is it. Now let's scroll down a little. So on this page, this is where all the various information are. So we are going to make it simple for you to follow. So let's click on this link, requirement for the opportunity card. Now, let's begin with the first requirement that applies before either qualification route is considered. So regardless of any, of these two paths that you choose, there is one basic requirement that you have to make sure that you satisfy. So you see, you have the financial resources. So regardless of whether you are applying through the recognized qualification route or the point system, Germany requires you to prove that you can financially support yourself while searching for a job. Now, this for 2026, you see this amount that I've highlighted. This generally means showing financial resources of at least 1,091 euros per month. Now, where will you put this money? You see this block account? Okay, block account. You open a bank account called block account, and then you put certain amount of money that will cover you for the entire 1 year period, which is 12 months. So the 1,191 per net per month, you can multiply that by 12, almost 13,092. If I'm right, 13,092 euros must be in your account. That is the blocked bank account. You open that bank account online, you deposit the money in it. So they are saying containing a minimum of 1,091 net per month. Current amount that the website has published is this one. So every month when you are in Germany, after you've receive your opportunity card and then you enter Germany, every month they will release this amount for you. Okay, as a way to kind of survive in the system. So the money you put in the blog account will be given back to you basically every month, right? Now, so as I've said that these financial resources, one means to demonstrate it is through the blog account. The second one is the declaration of commitment. This one, declaration of what? Commitment. So if you have somebody in Germany who can vouch for you, that person can invite you and then they will give you a document called declaration of commitment, which you can use as part of your application process. So instead of the blog account, if you don't have money to do the blog account, somebody there can invite you, somebody who is well-to-do there, who have an accommodation and have some level of income that can basically take care of you. They can invite you, and that document you get is a declaration of commitment. You can use that in place of the opening the blog bank account. So once you have met this basic financial requirement, the next step is determining which qualification route applies to you. Now, let's start Let's start with the first qualification route. Okay, let's start with the first qualification route, which is opportunity card with a qualification recognized in Germany. Now, this particular route, okay, this particular route is for people whose foreign vocational or academic qualification has already been fully recognized in Germany. Okay, has fully been recognized in what? In Germany. Alternatively, it also applies if you obtain your qualification directly in Germany. Okay, so with the first one, if you have a foreign vocational or academic qualification that is fully recognized in Germany, in another breath, you can also have a qualification, whether non-academic or vocational qualification, which is also obtained in Germany itself. I hope that is clear. Okay. Now, considered a skilled worker do not have to go through the point system. If either of these situations applies to you, Germany considers you a skilled worker. Okay, and you do not need to qualify through the point system. So if any of these two above here applies to you, if any of them applies to you, you are considered as a skilled worker in Germany and you don't need the point system. You are a skilled worker. Take note here, please note. Now, one thing you have to also check here is that in addition to that, you will also notice that Germany do not or does not require proof of language proficiency under this option. All right, this option that we've already discussed, the qualification, foreign qualification, and also obtaining a qualification in Germany, which automatically makes you fully recognized. You realize that you do not really need German language skills. However, it is recommended for you to have it because it will help increasing your chances of finding a job in Germany. Okay, so you do not have to prove your language skills here, but it is required so that you can improve your chances of getting a job faster. Now, let's look at the second qualification route. Option 2, opportunity card via the point system. If your qualification has not been fully recognized in Germany, this is the pathway that will apply to most applicants. So let me highlight this part. So with this point system, it is important that the qualification is recognized by the country in which you obtain it. That is the first requirement. The first requirement. Also, we have the anabin database here. The anabin database statement of comparability. And then we have the digital statement of professional qualification. Now listen carefully here. So depending on whether your qualification is academic or vocational, Germany accepts different forms of evidence. All right? They accept different forms of evidence. Could be the anabin database checking your recognition there, or getting statement of comparability depending on the kind of qualification you had, or getting digital statements on your professional qualification. These are the main three ways that you can actually provide an evidence of your qualification. Also, you would have to also demonstrate German language skills of at least level A1 or English language skills at B2 level. All right? Okay. Now, in this point system, you have to obtain 6 points. 6 points must be achieved in order to qualify for the point system route. Now, let's look at the point system for the opportunity card, like how the points are being allocated. Earlier, we saw that applicants using the second qualification route must score at least 6 points. All right. Now, this is an important clarification. The point system only applies to applicants who cannot demonstrate German qualification or full recognition of their foreign qualification. So the first requirement here is that even if you are applying through the point system, German expects you to have a recognized formal qualification, and you have to also meet the required language skills in addition to the point. Is that clear? So I'm repeating. So in the point system here, the first thing you need to get is formal qualification and the required language skills in addition to the point. All right. So before you begin looking at the point and how they are located, this preliminary qualification has to be certified. Formal qualification and required language skills. And in so doing, you must also score at least 6 points in the point system in order to receive the opportunity card. So, Germany then evaluates several different factors to determine whether you have reached the minimum 6 points requirement. Now, let's go through them one by one. We start with the first category, which is equivalence of qualification. The first category relates to recognition. Okay. Under the equivalence of qualification, we are basically talking about recognition. Let's say if you have already started the recognition process and Germany has determined that your qualification is partially, okay, is partially equivalent, you will receive 4 points I hope that is clear. Okay. And also, if in the case of regulated profession, when you talk about regulated profession, we are talking about the professions that need licenses in order to practice, like doctors. Okay. So if in the case of regulated profession, you are required to participate in what is called compensatory measures before obtaining a license to practice your profession. So in case you are also in that category as a regulated profession, you also have that 4 points. We'll go details into what compensatory measure is later on when you dive deeper into recognition. Let's look at the next category, which is qualification in a shortage occupation. Germany also awards one additional point, okay, for those people that their qualification falls under shortage occupations. So if your qualification falls under shortage occupation, I beg your pardon, you will get 1 point. Okay. So when you click here, list of shortage occupations, there will be a document that will open. You see, list of shortage occupations according to the various sessions. Now let me scroll down so that I can have a glance. Later on, I will upload it in the YouTube description for you. Now, you see manufacturing, mining, construction, and distribution managers. You see, they have various codes. Professional services, childcare services managers, healthcare services managers. So you can download it and then go through and see those shortage occupations that might have applied to you. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so if your qualification falls under any of the shortage occupations, you get 1 point. I hope that is also clear. Okay, so we are back here. Now we are done with the qualification in the shortage occupation, and I've shown you where you can get the list of the shortage occupations and then go through and see if your qualification is found in there. If it's found in there, you are lucky, you get 1 point. Now let's look at the professional experience. Under this category, professional experience also earns points. So if you have worked for the last 5 years and you can demonstrate at least 2 years professional experience, you will also get a point. That is, you will get 2 points. So within the last 2 years, if you have had at least 2 years of relevant experience within the last 5 years, you get 2 points automatically. So take note, you have worked for 5 years, just provide an evidence of 2 years, relevant evidence of 2 years professional experience, and you get 2 points. Also, if you have had 7 years of professional experience, try as much as possible to provide at least 5 years professional experience within the last 7 years, and then you will get 3 points. Very simple. It's just a matter of providing the evidence and then you get your point. Okay. Now let's move on. Germany also rewards stronger language skills, right? So you earn points if your German language skills are above level A1. Okay, if it's above level A1. So 1 point will be given. 1 point is awarded at level A2. 2 points at level B1 and 3 points at level B2 or above. Also, an additional point will be awarded if you have English at level C1 or above, or if you are a native speaker. I hope you are clear with the language skills and its respective points to be allocated depending on the level of proficiency. Okay. Let's move on. Now let's look at the age. So with the age, it's very simple. If you are up to 35 years, you get 2 points. All right. So people who are no older than 35 get 2 points until the day they turn 35. I hope that is clear. Yes. So all those that are aged between 35 and 40 are awarded 1 point. So age is a factor. Okay, so up to 34 and you are not turning 35 yet, you get 2 points. If you are 35 and above, you get 1 point. That's clear. Let's look at the previous stage in Germany. That is the last but one category. If you have legally lived in Germany for at least 6 months or 6 continuous months during the last 5 years, you can receive another point. Tourist visits don't count. The only examples that I can state here that are valid per what the site is saying is study, right? Or maybe you went there to do some short courses on language, or you went to, work there. So those stays, study, language, and work stays. Okay, so tourist visit is not part. It will not count as part of the legal stay there. And in addition to, you must have your copies of your old passport and the visas and the entry stamps that they contain. They all must be submitted as evidence when you are proving you've lived there for 6 months continuously. Good. Finally, married couples or recognized life partners may receive an additional point if both partners qualify for the opportunity card. All right. So you can do that with the self-check opportunity card, which we will go through later on as part of the tutorials to check if your partner is also qualified, just like maybe the husband. You are entitled to 1 point. Then you decide who should receive that point. Okay. Now, remember that these categories, these various categories that we've looked at, the age, previous stage, skilled worker potential of spouses, language skills, professional experience, qualification in a shortage occupation, equivalence of qualification. Remember, these categories work together. What I mean is that you don't need points from each or every category. You simply need enough evidence to reach the minimum 6 point requirement. I hope that is clear. So for example, let's say you have your equivalence of qualification, right? You did the recognition, which we are going to do next. How to do the recognition, how to verify whether you are fully or partially qualified as far as your qualification is concerned. You do that next in the next session that will come. So let's assume you checked and then your qualification is partially equivalent. It gives you 4 points, right? If you are using the point system. And then let's say your qualification, okay, also falls under shortage occupation when you checked. That will give you additional 1 point. So when you add it to the first equivalence of qualification 4 points, it makes 5 points. And let's say finally you realize that your age is between 35 and 40. That gives you what? 1 point. So 1 point in addition to the 5 makes 6. So it means you have gotten the 6 minimum points required already. So you don't need to go and check your previous stays and your skilled worker potential spouses because you've gotten the 6 points already. I hope that is clear. Good. So you will notice that several of these points depends on one very important question. That is your qualification recognized? And that is exactly what we are going to answer next. So let's move on to recognition and see how it is being done. But before we go, make sure that every evidence, everything that you answer here, you have an evidence to back it up. Very important. So please note that all information you provide in the above categories must be supported by appropriate evidence or certificate for the visa application. Okay? Good. So now let's get to the recognition and how to check for your qualification. Now, let's look at the recognition. So you have to pay very good attention to this area, okay? So who actually needs recognition? All right? Good. So let me highlight regulated profession here. So before you spend time and money, okay, applying for recognition, there is one important question you need to answer. That is, does your profession actually require recognition? Because in Germany, they divide occupations into 2 categories. That is regulated professions and non-regulated professions. So let's start with the regulated professions. So with the regulated professions, we are looking at occupations where the German law requires specific qualifications before you are allowed to practice. For example, these professional, or regulated professions include teachers, doctors, okay? We have healthcare, legal advice, okay? We have public schools. So in certain situations, engineers, you understand? So practically in engineering profession, there is a regulation if the professional title of the engineer is required for the occupation. Okay. So if you really don't know whether your profession is regulated or non-regulated, you can use the recognition finder. All right. If you click here, it will take to a particular interface, and then you can fill in the various questions they ask you, and then they can tell you exactly what your recognition is. All right. So if you are not sure, that is, if you are not sure whether your profession is regulated, the German provides an official recognition finder. That's basically what I'm saying. That allows you to check. Okay. Yes. So we will come back to these two later, probably in the video. So take note of that. Now, if you intend to work in any of these professions, right? If you intend to work in one of these professions, you will generally need full recognition. I hope that is clear. You will need full recognition of your qualification, because it will entitle you to get an employment where you get access to what is called a blue card. So the blue card is for qualified professions. So full recognition is also required for several resident permits, including the skilled worker visa. Okay, the skilled worker visa. And in most cases, as I've said, the EU blue card. Okay. And some too also will need some form of licenses to also what? Practice as far as regulated professions is concerned. So for many regulated professions, recognition alone isn't enough. You will also need a professional license before you're legally allowed to work, as I said earlier. I hope that is quite clear. Okay. Now let's get to the non-regulated professions. You see, so let's look at the second category, which is the non-regulated profession. So most occupations in Germany are actually non-regulated. All right, actually non-regulated. For example, hotel managers or hotel manager. A formal recognition of your foreign qualification is not, required. So for example, to be allowed to work, such people with this qualification I made mention, hotel managers or hotel manager, they don't require any formal recognition, okay, to work. As compared to the professional or the regulated professions. I hope that is quite clear too. But here is what many applicants become confused. Pay critical attention here. I've deliberately decided to move slowly so that you understand the little nuances in this whole video. So it is deliberate. So just because recognition isn't required to practice the profession, it doesn't automatically mean it's unnecessary for immigration purposes. I take it again. I'm saying that just because recognition isn't required to practice the profession doesn't automatically mean it's unnecessary for immigration purposes. All right. So, depending on the type of work visa you are applying for, Germany may still require evidence relating to your qualification. Yes. Okay. So, if you are from a non-EU country, you may, however, need the recognition of your foreign professional qualification for work visa in Germany in certain cases. So in this context, the distinction between non-academic professional qualification and academic qualification is not made. All right. So that is basically about the professional qualification and then the non-professional qualification, or the regulated and non-regulated professions. Now let's look at the non-regulated professions under non-academic professional qualification. Now, Germany makes another the Germany now makes another important distinction. That is your qualification vocational? Right? Is your qualification vocational or academic? Do you get what I'm saying? Is your qualification vocational or academic? That is a question that I'm asking you watching me, because this distinction determines which evaluation process you will follow. Okay? All right. So I'm repeating. Non-regulated profession is your qualification under non-academic professional qualification, or is your non-regulated profession under academic or academic degrees? You need to find an answer to that yourself, because anyone that applies to you have a different evaluation process that you follow. Okay, so if you completed vocational training abroad, okay, recognition of that qualification may be required for certain residence permit, such as the skilled worker visa. All right. I hope that is clear. That is clear too. And also remember something we discussed earlier. If you have obtained full recognition, okay, if you have realized that your recognition is fully recognized, you don't need to qualify through the opportunity card point system. Okay, so in addition, points for the opportunity card do not need to be scored if you have the full recognition. I just repeated what is there. Okay. Now, let's move on to the academic degrees. So, let's say with the academic qualifications, it works slightly different. Pay attention again. For university degrees that don't lead to regulated professions such as marketing, biology, physics, or linguistics, Germany doesn't have a formal recognition procedure. Okay? So that is basically what is being said here. So for academic degrees that do not lead to a regulated profession, such as, I'm repeating, biologist, physicist, or linguist, there is no formal recognition procedure like in regulated professions or non-academic professional qualifications. So instead, Germany asks two different questions. They ask two different questions. Question 1, that is the qualification comparable to that of what German want? So that is the comparable to Germany. And then question 2, is it actually recognized in home country? That is the state recognition. So the foreign academic degree must be comparable with the German academic degree because it is valid for the work visa for qualified professions, the EU blue card, and the opportunity card skilled worker option as well. Okay, and for that matter, the foreign academic degree must be state recognized in the country where you obtain it. I've said it already and I'm repeating because some of the things, repeating it twice, I believe, brings much more clarity. Okay, yes, so there have to be state recognition of your qualification. And it is also valid for the visa for professionally experienced workers and the opportunity card point system option. I've repeated it again. Okay. So, listen. So, some resident permits required your degree to be comparable to German qualification. That is basically what we are trying to say here. So, it could be state recognized, and other resident permits also simply required prove that your degree is officially recognized in the country where you obtain it. Okay, and that is where we will be talking about the anabin database, or a statement of comparability for foreign university degrees. So if you go there to check for your qualification and it is fully recognized in Germany there, then that makes your qualification automatically qualified. That is the anabin database. Or if it is partially recognized in the anabin database, you probably will need what is called statement of comparability from the German education office called the ZAP. So all these things are ways to verify whether your qualification is recognized. All right. So for both types of proof, a printout of the positive result in the anabin database, which we'll go shortly to go and check how to verify whether your qualification and your degree are all qualified fully in Germany or partially qualified, and as to whether you need statement of comparability or another form of proof, we will know all those process shortly. So in both situations, Germany accepts evidence from the anabin database or the statement of comparability. That's basically what we are trying to say here. Finally, there is one more important exception. Not every resident permit requires formal recognition, such as the visa for recognition partnership, the visa for professionally experienced workers, or the opportunity card point system. So if you are applying under one of these residence titles, Germany does not require full recognition. Instead, depending on your qualification, you may only need a DAB for vocational qualification, or the statement on a foreign vocational qualification, which is the DAB, or statement of comparability for foreign academic degrees. All right, so I would like to take you to a place where we can throw a little bit more light on the statement of comparability, the DAB, and then the anabin. I want to throw much more light on it so that you get the difference very well. So let's go to the state recognition in the country of training session, right? state recognition in the country of training session. Let's go there so that I can throw much more light on this, the DAP, as well as the statement of comparability and the anabin. Okay, so basically we are on the statement recognition in the country of training. So we've made mention of 3 different ways of getting a proof for your qualification. One is the digital statement on a foreign vocational qualification, which is the DAB, right? Which is the DAB, okay? The other one too is statement of comparability for foreign university degrees or positive result in the anabin database. So what they are trying to say is that all these ways of providing a proof of your qualification, they are just to show that your state actually recognize those degrees. That's what the German authorities are trying to find out. Okay, so depending on your qualification, you have a different way to verify your qualification. Now let's look at the digital statement on foreign vocational qualification. This particular one, what is basically talking about, those of you that have maybe if you're from Ghana, Uganda, Bangladesh, or India, and then you have vocational qualification, this one you will have to send your information to the German authority. So to get more context, let's click here. So you see the digital statement on a foreign vocational qualification, which is a DAP procedure for short, certifies that the non-academic qualification or vocational qualification acquired abroad has been completed, that it is recognized in the country of origin, and that it is equivalent to a 2-year full-time vocational training program. Okay, so the application for the procedure is submitted digitally to the Central Office for Foreign Education. So you only send your information to the German authorities for them to do that assessment for you. And in doing that assessment, they are checking 3 things. One, whether your training took at least 2 years and whether you completed your training successfully. Okay, and whether your professional qualification is actually recognized in your country. If in that case you are from Ghana, Uganda, or Indian, China, wherever you are. That is what the DAP seeks to address. So they will give you a notification of your result. So the results are issued in a notice, which can be used as a proof of qualification. I hope this is very clear. Good. So that is for the foreign vocational qualification way of getting the proof. Now, there is something I want to emphasize here. The DAP is not a recognition procedure. We have recognition procedure. After here, you check what the recognition procedure is. Okay, so the DAP itself, sending your vocational qualification to the ZAP for them to assess whether your qualification is recognized in your country, whether you took at least 2 years to finish it, and whether you finished successfully. That one is not part of recognition procedure. Get that? That is what this point is basically trying to say here. So take note of that, because people do get confused. Okay, they get confused. So they are saying that the digital statement on a foreign vocational qualification of the Central Office for Foreign Education is not to be confused with a recognition procedure. Okay, there is a recognition procedure. That one is a different thing, which I said I'll throw much more light on it after this session. So take note. Okay, and also the digital statement on a foreign vocational qualification solely serves as evidence by residence law for whether your foreign professional qualification is recognized by the state in the country in which it was obtained. So as indicated earlier, this place is just about trying to find out whether your qualification is recognized in your state. And they do it differently depending on your kind of qualification you have, whether it's vocational or whether it is degree. I hope you get the difference. Good. So what I've already said is even stated here. Important application for the DAP procedure can only be submitted for non-academic professional qualifications, regardless of whether the profession is regulated or, example, nurse, or not regulated. Example, hotel managers. So you can be a nurse, but maybe you are a diploma nurse. You are not a degree holder nurse. So being a nurse here, where you maybe took at least 2 years to obtain your nurse diploma, you fall under the non-academic professional qualifications, and you might need DAP to do that assessment. You understand me? Good. Now, let's say those that with the degree, okay? This is where you try to find out whether your qualification is fully recognized in Germany as a foreign entity. That is where you have the statement of comparability. That is, if you check on the anabin database and then your school is recognized, but the degree is not recognized, that means you have obtained a status of partially, you need to obtain, statement of comparability, I beg your pardon, okay, because your qualification was not fully recognized in the anabin database, okay, because in the anabin database, if you check and you have a positive result, okay, if you have a positive result, it will give you what is called H plus, which you can print it, and you do not only give you H plus, but you have to also check if your degree too is recognized, because it is two things you check there. One is whether your school is recognized in the anabin database, and two, whether the course you obtain is also recognized in the anabin database. So when you have those two things positive, then that is what you call the positive results. Now let's go to the anabin database. Anabin. Alright, so this is the official website of the anabin database, where we are going to check whether our school is recognized and whether our degree too is also recognized in the database. So on your left hand side, you have the homepage, university degrees, institutions, professional qualifications. So if you want to check your university degree, you can click on this one. Or if you want to check your institution, you can click on this one as well. Or if you have any professional qualifications, you click this one, then you check by entering your country and in a particular qualification here. Now, for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to check for the institution, which is the university. So when you click the countries here, I'm going to use Ghana for this tutorial. So let's look for Ghana. Okay, I have it selected here already, that's why. So let's assume there is no Ghana there. Okay, Ghana is here. Now select Ghana. Now they are asking for places. So the school is GIMPA. Okay, GIMPA is located in Accra. So when I click on the all locations, I select Accra. Then you need to know the status of the school, whether it is public or private, and it is public university. So I select that. Okay, so as soon as I entered those details, you realize we have the schools located in Ghana, Accra to be specific, have popped up, including GIMPA. So you see here we have H plus under the status here. That's one of the reasons we are here to check. The school must have H plus status. Okay. Now let me click on it. You see, it brings us to this interface. Country, Ghana, educational institution, GIMPA, right? Now, the most important thing, the status as I mentioned. You see the H plus. Let's throw a little bit much more light on the various status. So, if your university has an H plus status, that's good news because it means Germany recognizes your institution as a legitimate institution. However, there is an important point that many applicants miss. This does not constitute a preliminary decision. An H plus status does not automatically mean it is equivalent to the German degree. Okay, it simply means that Germany accepts your university as a recognized higher education institution and allows your degree to be evaluated. So in other words, you say the H plus means the university is recognized, period. But not that every degree from that university is automatically recognized or equivalent to the German degree. The degree still has to be assessed separately. Okay, now let's look at the H plus. H minus. So if a university falls into the H minus category, it generally means Germany does not recognize it as a university. So this usually happens for one of two reasons. Either the institution claims to be a university but isn't officially recognized as one in its own country, or it isn't a university at all. It could be a vocational school or another type of training institution. So if you find that your institution has an H minus status, you should carefully review the information provided in this anabin database, or you can seek for further guidance before relying on that qualification for a German resident permit or recognition process. So let's look at the last status here, which is H plus / H minus. So what you need to know here is that there is another important thing here that you have to take note. Some universities don't have one overall recognition status. Okay, so in these cases, Germany doesn't evaluate the university as a whole. Instead, it looks at the specific degree or program that you actually completed. So don't assume that because someone else's degree from the same university was accepted, yours will automatically receive the same result. No, that's not how it works in the anabin database. Now take note of this important notice here. Many people make the mistake of checking only their university and then assuming they are done. That's not how anabin works. First, you check whether your university is recognized. Then you must also check whether your degree is comparable to a German degree. Both steps are very crucial. Okay, so now let me close this interface and then let's go and check the degree status. So when you come down here, you realize you have the degree here. So we have three various degree titles here. So let's click on the Bachelor of Business Administration. We want to go and check the status of it. Now when we entered here, check the evaluation, the most important thing here. So the evaluation here have certain status, which is called the equivalence class. This one. So let's go and check what the equivalence classes is. One of them is this corresponds. This corresponds here means that it is corresponding to the German degree type here, meaning that the German is equivalent to the bachelor's degree of 3 years. But we will throw much more light on it when you go to the equivalence classes. So let's get to the equivalence classes and check much more details on the various evaluation status. So I'm clicking on the evaluation equivalence class. So now that we have found our degree, now we are going to try to understand what the equivalent classes actually means. So anabin uses 3 possible equivalence classes to compare foreign qualifications with Germany qualifications. The first one is conditionally comparable, and this is the definition. So the first category, which is the conditional comparable, this actually means that the qualification is formally similar to the German qualification, but it is not fully comparable in terms of its academic content or structure. In other words, there may be important differences that require further assessment. You get me? Good. So that is it for the conditionally comparable, right? Then we have the second category, correspondence. This means the qualification is formally comparable to the German qualification. However, anabin does not make a judgment about whether the qualification content is exactly the same. This is the result we saw for the Bachelor of Business Administration from GIMPA earlier. I hope you remember, it was corresponds. Okay. The highest equivalence class is the equivalent. Okay. The equivalent. This means the qualification is considered both formally and academically comparable to the corresponding German qualification. Excuse me. So one important thing to remember is that these equivalence classes do not represent the final legal recognition of your qualification. Okay, so the anabin database is a guide. The final recognition decision is always made by the competent German authority responsible for your application. So to sum it up here, I'll say that so whenever you check your qualification in anabin, don't just stop at finding your university. Open your degree, look at the evaluation session, check the equivalence class, and then remember that this is guidance provided by the anabin, not the final legal recognition decision. Now, let's look at how I'm back to the previous interface where we still have the evaluation. Now, let's look at how Bachelors of Arts or Bachelors of Science is being described as far as Ghana's degrees are concerned in the anabin database. You get it? So we are going to click Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science to get much more context as to how the anabin database describes a bachelor's degree from Ghana. So this information helps Germany understand the structure of Ghana's higher education system when evaluating qualifications. Okay, so for example, according to the anabin, a standard bachelor's degree from a recognized university in Ghana usually takes about 4 years to complete. And one must also write bachelor's thesis. So the database also knows that completing a final project or bachelor's thesis is normally part of the program. Also, Anabin recognizes this as a professional academic qualification that leads to award of academic degree. You get it? Now, these various degrees. So you also notice that the anabin lists different types of bachelor's degrees awarded in Ghana. Okay. So for example, Bachelor of Arts is commonly awarded in the humanities. Right? In the humanities and social sciences, while the Bachelor of Science is typically awarded in fields such as natural sciences, economics, and computer science. So the database also recognizes degrees such as the Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Business Administration, Bachelor of Laws, and several others. So this session is basically, it's actually giving us much more information explaining how the Ghanaian bachelor's degree is structured. Okay. So let's move ahead and let me show you something here. So the anabin database also explains how students enter a bachelor's degree program in Ghana with the entry requirement. That is West African Senior High Certificate. So in general, admission requires the West Africa Senior School Certificate, commonly known as WASI. So applicant must pass the compulsory subjects, including English language, core mathematics, integrated science, and social studies, together with the required elective subjects depending on the program. So it's still giving much more context, okay? So according to the anabin, a standard bachelor's degree in Ghana normally takes between 3 and 4 years. So some students may complete the program in 3 years if they qualify for advanced entry, while others follow the standard 4-year structure. So top-up degree, for HND holders, the database also notes that top-up programs typically last between 1 and 2 years, depending on the institution and the credit transferred. So the standard years, 4 years, and the 4 years is divided into 4 levels. So you can see level 100, level 200, 300, 400. So as you can see, the database also explains how Ghanaian bachelor's programs are organized. Okay, student progressing through the various 4 academic levels, beginning with level 100 to 400. These are all context on the qualification. So most bachelor's programs are also require students to complete a final research project, as I said earlier, or thesis before graduation. That's exactly what is done. And with respect to depending on the program, there might be some practical training or industrial attachment may also form part of the degree requirement. Okay, so finally, the anabin explains that your transcript of records is an important document because it shows the courses you completed and support the evaluation of your qualification. So all of this information helps Germany understand how your qualification was earned. Does it make sense? However, what ultimately matters for visa and recognition purposes is whether your qualification or your university and your specific degree meet Germany's evaluation requirement. So let's continue with the next step. So if you want to see further details, you see there are so many degree types here and the fields here in Ghana. So you can scroll through and then find out your course. Now I'm closing this interface. I've thrown much more light on how the anabin database, the information as to how they describe our educational structure in Ghana. Okay, so I've closed that one and I've closed the evaluation interface. Now I'm back to the school status interface. Okay, so we have the H plus here. What I want you to do is that save this particular document, save it, because it will be required as a document to be uploaded as an evidence of your school or university being recognized. So you save it. Good. Now the next thing that you have to download here is when you check your university status here, which says corresponds. So in this case, I have to save this particular interface because it is an evidence that my qualification corresponds to the German degree type. All right, so I'll click the print session, the print button, then I'll save as PDF. Or if you have a printer, you can print it because you need a hard copy when you're going to the embassy after the appointment. So you save this one as well. So this document will also be asked that provide a proof of your degree being recognized in Germany. Then you can upload this one. So after checking your university status and your degree status, you upload these two documents. Okay, so let's say if your school was H plus or H minus, which means that further assessment ought to be made by the competent authorities, the ZAP or the German education institution, then means you have to send your document to them. We'll go through that recognition procedure later on. Okay, so you understand if maybe you have this status here, what else can I do? And how to obtain your statement of comparability. And on that note, having ended here, we will continue with our statement of comparability, which is another way to also provide an evidence if you did not get the needed recognition statuses here. Let's say if your evaluation stated that you need further assessment when you use the anabin, then the further assessment, you can use the statement of comparability. So that is the next thing that we are going to look at. In the anabin database, and then you realize that you don't have full recognition of your qualification, then that is where you will fall into statement of comparability, where you also, I click it. So during the procedure for the statement of comparability, the foreign academic degree is assessed and categorized according to the German education system. You understand? So the application for the procedure is submitted digitally to the Central Office for Foreign Education. So the statement of comparability too, you have to send it to the German authority, the educational office, for them to also assess and issue something you call equivalent assessment. So the same way as the DAP too, they do the assessment for you, but the DAP is not procedure. Get that two different. But the degree holders that they realize they have partial recognition in the anabin database, they go through recognition procedure. These are called recognition procedure, right? Yes. These are called recognition procedure. So they also receive results. So if the results are issued in also notice, which can be used as proof of qualification. Okay. All right. Now, so basically you might say that what can these types of evidence, so what can this type of evidence be used for? One, when you have it, when you check and you realize your qualification is fully recognized in Germany, of course, it means you are automatically qualified to start the opportunity card application process. Example, this can give you an opportunity to get a blue card. Okay, that is, you will get a job, and through the job, you get your blue card. Or maybe you realize that because you are qualified, you fall under a certain skilled worker option. So it is important to get an evidence of your qualification. And it also proves that your qualification is recognized in your country of origin. And for that matter, it gives you even more option to use it for the opportunity card point system. So it depends on the kind of qualification you have, right? Yes. So in the nutshell, the DAB, which is the DAB for the vocational qualification, right? Statement of comparability, or the anabin, which applies for which purpose. So the DAB procedure, the statement of comparability, and the anabin evaluation are suitable evidence to prove the state recognition in the country of origin. However, for the regulated professions, and what I mean by regulated, I hope you understand, like the doctors or those who require licenses to practice, the following is required. That is, the recognition of the qualification is an obligatory requirement to be able to work in this profession. So it is mandatory to have your recognition recognized. It is mandatory for those that require licenses to practice in Germany. It is mandatory for you. That is basically what it's saying. So let's go to the recognition procedure. Okay, let's quickly go to the recognition procedure. I just want to throw a little bit light there. Okay, so now let's look at the recognition procedure shortly. So how does the recognition procedure work in Germany? So basically, what they are saying here is that during the recognition procedure, okay, the respective competent authority in Germany, they check whether your foreign qualification is equivalent to a German one, or whether there are substantial differences. So the procedure is also known as the equivalence assessment. Okay, equivalent assessment. So what the competent authority does is that they assesses generally within 3 to 4 months. Okay, 3 to 4 months, as soon as they receive your document. All right. So at the end of the day, if you want to find out exactly how the recognition procedure works and where you can get specific information about your profession in Germany, you can use the recognition finder. Okay, to also check in the skilled worker section of the, I don't know how to mention this whole thing in Germany. So in that portal, you can check it. So at that portal, you will have the option to immediately start finding in your online application, if applicable. You get it? Okay. So that is how the recognition procedure works in Germany. And two, So it comes with a result. So the result of the recognition procedure. If it turns out to be that your foreign qualification is recognized, or if it is equivalent to the German qualification, then you will receive what is called equivalence assessment, as we've said earlier on. However, if there is a substantial differences are identified in your equivalence of assessment, then that would depend on maybe the type of profession you find yourself in. So when they do the assessment, sometimes there are gaps in the qualification, right, that the person have depending on qualification. So in that case, if maybe the person is in the non-regulated professions, the qualification is partially recognized. Okay, that is if part of the vocational training are equivalent and others are not. So the result is what I'm throwing much more light on. The likely result that one will get. Okay, so in that case, if you're under non-regulated professions, as I said, your qualification is partially recognized. Okay, if that's part of your vocational training are equivalent and others are not. You understand me? So in that case, a notice will be issued to you as well, stating the substantial differences compared to the German reference profession. So you send your document to them for them to check for your to make assessments. They realize there are some substantial differences. Some parts is recognized, some parts are not. So they'll send you a message, a notice for you to know the differences. Okay, so in this case, these substantial differences are usually compensated by completing a refresher training. I hope you get it. So it will give you a chance to bridge that gap. Okay, it will give you a chance to bridge that gap. Then after that, you can then submit a follow-up application to obtain the full recognition of your qualification. So you see how this recognition procedure works. Yes, that is why I said the DAP is different. So don't confuse the DAP procedure with this recognition procedure. So the DAP, they just give you, they do the assessment to see if it is recognized in your country. You went through the necessary 2 years training and all that, and then issue a notice for you, right? But this one, in the recognition procedure, if you are in a non-regulated profession and they realize your qualification is partially recognized, they give you time to do refresher training to bridge that gap. And then you submit the application again. And then before you can obtain full recognition. You see how it works here? Yes. Okay. Now, in the case of regulated professions, that is academic and non-academic, the competent authority specifies a compensation measure that you will need to follow to compensate for the substantial differences. So after you have successfully completed the compensation measure, the equivalence will be awarded. So afterwards, the further criteria for the licenses to practice a profession are then assessed. Do you get the point? So you see the regulated profession here, they go a little bit deeper. So first of all, after the competent authority specifies your qualifications, there is some compensation measure that they put in place and you have to follow them. That is if you have a substantial differences in your qualification. So if you are only then that you have been able to successfully completed the compensation measure, if only you have been able to, meet up the compensation measure, then that is the only situation where you will be awarded the what equivalence award will be given to you. So it is afterwards that there will be another further criteria for your license to practice a profession. So the fact that you've been awarded, you have the equivalence, your equivalence assessment has been made, that is not all. They are now going to also assess whether you can get a license to practice or not. I hope that is clear. So in this case too, regardless, regarding the way of communication the results, here too, the result of the recognition are communicated in an official notice call, in Germany, in simple term, recognition notice. You understand me? Okay. So that is basically it for the non-profession and then professional, regulated and non-regulated professions, I beg your pardon. Now look at this place, work and recognition combined. So with the visa for the recognition partnership, you can enter Germany without the previous recognition. Then you can work in Germany and simultaneously go through the recognition procedure. All right. So you can enter Germany and then you'll be doing your bridging your gap in your profession area. So after you've been able to finish, then they can assess you to see if you have the right to, you can get a license to practice or not. And you have what you call the recognition partnership. Maybe the company you work with, they'll also be involved. There will be some form of agreement that you work for some time and then you'll be able to also apply, get the needed skills. When you meet it, then you can fully get the recognition that you deserve. Okay. So to put much more clarity on the visa for recognition partnership, let's check this session and we'll come back briefly. So we have the visa for employment within the framework of a recognition partnership. So here within the recognition partnership, you can complete the recognition procedure with the support of your employer after entering Germany and start working at the same time. That is what I was referring to. Now let's go back. So that is what the work and recognition combined means. Okay, hope you understand. All right, so how about qualification measure in the case of partial recognition? In the case of partial recognition. So in the case of partial recognition, what they are saying is that if you come from a non-EU country and then substantial differences have been found during the equivalence assessment of your qualification, you can obtain a resident title for the purpose of having your foreign qualification recognized. This applies irrespective of whether the intended employment is in a regulated or non-regulated profession. I hope that is clear. So maybe your recognition is partial, right? You have access to obtain resident title. This one, enables you to enter into Germany and then work in order to fulfill your recognition later on. And it doesn't matter whether your employment is in a regulated or non-regulated profession. Do you understand? Okay. And if you remember, when we were talking about the opportunity card point system, and we made mention of partially recognized qualification, which gives you 4 points. You realize they are making mention of similar thing here. So that is the particular resident one of the example of residence title we are talking about. Here, you see how it works? Okay. So this resident title also allows you to enter Germany to complete your qualification measure. That is doing the refresher course. Okay, to bridge that gap as well. I hope that is clear. Good. So one thing you need to also understand is that this qualification measure can vary depending on your profession and level of knowledge. Okay, so for example, you might learn job-related German or broaden your technical or theoretical knowledge. So in regulated profession, example, health and nursing professions, you can take an adaptation period or an examination. So basically what you are trying to say, the content varies depending on the kind of qualification. You get what I'm trying to say. Yes. All right, so now let's do one thing quickly here. So this is the recognition finder homepage. So let's say you don't know whether you need recognition or not based on your qualification. If that happens to be your case, the recognition finder makes it simple for you. You have to answer certain questions truthfully, and then you get the right result at the end of the day. If you enter anything that does not apply to you, you might not get the required result that will work for you. So this is the interface for the recognition finder. So the first thing is your recognition, right? The first thing is your recognition. So what you need to do is to give answer to this question here. You see, set the recognition finder. So what is your profession? So here you'll find specific information about the recognition of your profession. So when you click the search button here, you can enter any profession that you have. You understand? Let's assume that you are a teacher. So maybe I type teacher and maybe I search to see the options that pops up. So I see several categories of teaching here. We have nursery school teacher, gymnastic teacher, early years teacher, child educator, teacher for special needs education. So whichever one that applies to you, let's say early years teacher, childhood educator applies to you. So you select it. Now, when you select it, they'll give you details about that kind of profession, right? So they are saying that early years teacher or childhood educator, these are the professional activities highlighted below here. So the focus of the early years teacher occupation is on family-based and public education, training, upbringing, and care in the early years. So the living environment, cultures, and living conditions of children and family, and collaboration with families. Okay, now the fields of work. So these are the details of the fields of work. So this gives you, a broader view of what you will be doing as far as that particular field is concerned. And now the most important thing here is they will tell you whether it is regulated profession or not non-regulated profession. I hope up to this stage you understand what it means when we say your profession is regulated and not. So under regulation, this profession is regulated in Germany. I hope you understand. Okay, so if that is your part, they are telling you it is regulated in Germany. Then you move to the next option by clicking next. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 various points. So they are step by step. So the first thing is your profession, and they have been able to tell you that it is a regulated profession in Germany. So you go to next. So the next takes us to your work, your place of work. So here the trick is that if maybe you have somebody or you know the place where you want to go and work in Germany. Let's say if you have somebody there and then that person's area is where you'll be searching for job, or you're going to stay with the person there. Maybe that person is going to give you what is called the declaration of commitment, or you are using that person as your reference, and their area in Germany is where you go and stay, and you know the address. Okay, it is very important to get that detail and then enter the area where they are or their address code here. That will give you certain details as to whether your profession is recognized in that particular area, or you can actually work in that area. It really helps. So try to get the town or the postcode of that area. So let's say maybe the person live in somewhere in Hesse or maybe Benshin. So maybe type something like BENBE. So let's say in Barbara in Hesse. So I select, let's say that is the area where I'll be staying in Germany. So when you select that, they'll give you details in that area. So watch. So they are asking you the next question in that same your workplace area. Okay. Do you have the nationality of an EU country? Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, or Switzerland? So if it is yes, you click yes. If no, you click no. So when you click no, another question pops up. Do you want to have the nationality of one of the following states? Do you have the nationality of one of the following states? Maybe you don't have. So maybe you select I come from another state. If you come from any of the state too, you select. So I come from another state. So they are giving more context here that the list only shows countries with special rules for entry. So nationality is not important for recognition. I hope you get the difference. They have certain rules for entry. That's why. Now, they are asking you, where did you complete your training or your degree? So maybe you have already said where you come from, where you completed your professional qualification is also important. So maybe you finished or you completed it in another state, so you can click in another state. If it is within the EU, such as Norway, Iceland, and the rest, you also click that part. And the next question is, do you already live in Germany? If no, click no. Select what is applicable to you. Then let's go to next. So the next question they ask is that, okay, this is the result. I beg your pardon. So the result, they are saying that you need recognition of your professional qualification. You understand? So they are saying if you want to work in Germany in your profession as a teacher, you need recognition. So during the recognition procedure, a check is made to identify whether your professional qualification is equivalent to the relevant German professional qualification. Recognition allows you to enter Germany and work here straight away. Under certain conditions, you are also able to apply for recognition after you enter Germany. So I've explained all these things already in our video. You understand? Especially, you see the last part, it said under certain conditions, you are also able to apply for recognition after you enter Germany. You remember what we talked about compensation measure, where you have to do some refresher course before you get the recognition. You can go back and watch. So they are just giving you a summary of what you need to do to get your qualification recognized. So do you want to get advice? If yes, fine. If no, you click no. Then you click next. So the next takes you to everything about the procedure. This last page. Okay. So now you've been able to know your qualification and whether you need recognition or not. So this particular person, your recognition procedure as early years teacher, childhood educator in Barbara Hesse. This is the competent authority. So if you need those authorities to attend to you as far as your qualification is concerned, these are the various details. Okay, because that's the area you'll be moving to, and these are their contacts. Okay. And also, they are saying that early years teacher, childhood educator is regulated in Hesse. So the place where you want to go and stay is regulated there. And for that matter, recognition of your professional qualification is necessary for you to be able to work in the profession in Germany. And you are also able to apply for recognition after you enter the country. So you have to see other options for further information. We have explained all these things in our previous videos. You get it? So any other thing that you really want to read more on are all here. For example, document for application. So you can read through and see all the documents that they are asking here, including curriculum vitae and everything. So if you have followed my video up to this point, this will not be a problem for you. Okay, this will not be a problem for you. So this is basically a summary of everything that they are asking you to do. Okay, so if you have any other question, you can further click and then read much more on them. So this is basically about the recognition finder. Okay, so if you don't know your profession, know where you want to go and work in Germany, and it will help you to know whether you need a recognition of your qualification to work in that area or not. So that is it about the recognition finder. It makes things simple for you.
At this point, you've checked your qualification and gained a better understanding of the recognition process. But before starting your application, Germany provides 2 official online tools that can help you assess your options. The first is the Quick Check. This tool provides a broad assessment of your employment options in Germany based on your profession, qualifications, and personal circumstances. It's designed to guide you towards the most suitable pathway and help you understand the requirements that may apply to your situation. Let's go through the Quick Check first.
Okay, so let's assume that you have watched all the tutorials and then you now get the basic requirement and then information and everything, and you want to run some quick check, right? That is, you want to use the official government self-check to see whether you have the potential to qualify or not. So you can actually do a quick check, right? So let's try to do a quick check. So this one here, with a quick check, you can check your options for working and living in Germany. Okay, so what you have to do is to state what you would like to do in Germany. Okay, let's say you want to go and work. So you select work. If study, you select study. But we are practically looking at opportunity card, the process that can take us to Germany. And then, first of all, start searching for a job. Okay, that is what you are looking at for. So if you want to run a quick check, just select work and then click start. Now, when it brings you to this page, you answer few questions truthfully, because it's like garbage in, garbage out. So enter the right information and get the right result and be well informed. So what is your nationality? Please enter. So let's say I'm from Ghana. Select. Then another interface pops up and asks you further question. I have or I am looking for a job offer. So which of these questions applies to you? Okay. So if you are an IT professional, then you click, which means I am looking for a job offer as an IT professional. If you are not, and it's in another profession, then you click in another profession. So let's say in another profession, you select next. So the next question is, there are three answers here. One, a non-academic vocational qualification. Two, an academic qualification. Three, neither a non-academic vocational qualification nor academic qualification. So by the time you do this self-check, then you might have gone through all the tutorials I have made. So now you know what a non-academic vocational qualification is. You know what an academic qualification is. So answering the questions, you will not have any problem. I hope that is clear. That's clear. So that's the importance there of watching the video up to this point. So let's say that you have an academic qualification. So I've selected it because you've watched the videos and you know what and when and how to do it. Do you get it? So you select an academic qualification. You move on. Next. Now they are asking you, where did you get that academic qualification? If you graduated in Germany, you select Germany. If you graduated in a foreign country, you select. So let's assume, because I entered the country that I'm coming from is Ghana. Let's assume that I obtained the qualification in Ghana. So a foreign country, right? Okay. So next, it brings me to another interface. They are asking, I have a binding job offer. 2, no binding job offer yet. So which one applies to me? I have no binding job offer. Okay, because I'm planning to apply for the opportunity card, which I don't need a binding job offer before I move to Germany. But I have to do the opposite. Move to Germany first and then now search for a job. So I don't have a binding job offer yet. As an applicant, that is what is in my mind. So that is why I have selected the second option. I hope you understand me. Now let's go to next. Now when you click the next, it brings you to this beautiful interface. Don't run. We are almost like back to one of our previous videos interface, right? Now see what is written here. Congratulations. They are giving you a preliminary result to tell you what your status is currently like. So they have noticed that you are qualified as a skilled worker with an academic degree and your pathway to qualified employment in Germany. So based on the information we entered, that is where we got this result. Bear in mind. So a skilled workers with an academic degree, your pathway to qualified employment in Germany. So that's why they've stated all these things down here. We've gone through all these things already. Okay. So they are basically telling you that based on information you entered, it means that you have a potential to be a skilled worker, or you are a skilled worker. So that's why they say congratulations. As a skilled worker with a foreign academic degree, you meet important basic requirements to take up qualified employment in Germany. So find the most important steps to prepare your journey to Germany successfully down below. You understand? So I have basically gone through recognition of your academic degree, okay, and then applying for the correct visa this time around because your qualification is recognized and you're looking for opportunity card. That is the visa route that you are going to use. You understand? Good. Now, let's now move on to the opportunity card self-check. Okay. So on this page, we are going to click the self-check opportunity card option because your purpose for doing this is you wanted to see your chances of getting the opportunity to apply for the opportunity card. So on the opportunity card side too, we do what you call the self-check. All right, we do what is called the self-check. So on this very page, we have to scroll down and then check our options. Check your options now. So because these are the various visa types, okay? But the one that we are interested in is that we are interested in finding a job with the opportunity card. I hope that is clear.
Once you've completed the quick check, the next step is the official opportunity card self-check. Unlike the quick check, which provides broader guidance, this tool focuses specifically on the Germany opportunity card. By answering questions about your qualifications, language skills, work experience, and other eligibility criteria, you'll receive an indication of whether you may qualify for the opportunity card and which route best matches your profile.
Okay, the self-check, we are going to answer certain questions. First of all, they are asking what is your nationality. So select your country. Now, once again, I select Ghana. So you can select your country. Now, as soon as you select, another interface will also pop up asking you another question again. Do you have qualification that took at least 2 years to complete? Now, you have to select the answer that applies to you. So the first one is that, yes, I have a non-academic vocational qualification. And I know you understand, once again, you understand what this means because I've already explained them already. So it makes it easier here. The second option is, yes, I have an academic qualification, meaning you are talking about degrees here. The first one is talking about vocational qualification. All right, which took you at least 2 years because they started with a 2 year because it's the minimum qualification that you have to get if you don't have degree. Your vocational skills should have at least 2 years of training period. You understand? I've explained all this thing already. Then third one is I have an appropriate qualification from German Chamber of Commerce abroad. Maybe you obtain your qualification in German. Or no, I do not have any formal qualification. So you select the one that applies to you. So I'm using myself as an example. I attended GIMPA, all right, Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration in Ghana. That's where I had my first degree before my master's abroad. So in that case, if let's say I'm using only the GIMPA one and I've checked on the anabin database as we did earlier, it was fully recognized, all right? You saw it. So yes, I have an academic qualification. So I select this one. It applies to me. Now notice something here on your far right hand side bottom, status. You see they've written status. Okay. As you are doing the self-check opportunity card, they'll also be simultaneously be checking point system as well based on the answers you provide to the questions. Okay. So let's move on. So I select yes, I have an academic qualification. Then I select next. It takes me to another interface asking further questions. Did you obtain your qualification in Germany, or is it partially or fully recognized in Germany? With a fully recognized qualification or qualification which has been obtained in Germany, you automatically qualify for the opportunity card. So this thing has already been explained. So you see, they are putting it in a form of question and even telling you if your qualification is fully recognized or partially recognized in Germany, you are automatically qualified for an opportunity card. So they have several answers here. One is yes, my qualification is fully recognized in Germany. So in my case, for example, I checked GIMPA, my degree was recognized, GIMPA was recognized in Germany as H+. In that case, I have to select the first one because that is what applies to me. I hope you get it. Or if maybe, yes, I obtained my non-academic vocational qualification in Germany. If that one applies to you, you select this one. So you realize when you select this gray area becomes, it ticked. All right. So it means this one and then this one. Any one that you select means that you are automatically qualified. And how did you know it? You know it based on the anabin database we went to check for the first degree people. You understand? That's where you got to know your status and if you've done your recognition and you know you are qualified or not. So when you get to this interface, you select the right questions. That's why I told you when you put in garbage in is garbage out. So put in the right information and you've been taught how to get those right information. So this answers becomes simple and easy. Okay. So let's assume that your qualification is partially recognized in Germany. Then it means you have to select this third one. And notice, you realize the box on the right hand side is 4 points. When you were talking about the opportunity card point system, you were told under equivalent assessment that, or equivalence qualification, that if your qualification is partially recognized, you gain 4 points. Do you remember? Good. So if that happens to be your case, under this self-check opportunity card, you select that option. So as you are selecting the answers for the various questions, they are also noting down the point status here. Status, yeah? So whichever point you select, they will put it here. So if no, my qualification is not yet recognized in Germany, and you select this one, it will give you 0 points here. All right. And if you select I don't know, that one too will be 0. Now, any one that you select here will give you different outcome. So let's say that using my own as an example, yes, my qualification is fully recognized in Germany because I knew it from the anabin database, as you all know. So I select that one. When I select and I move on, because they are tick, which means I'm automatically qualified. So let's go to next and see. Now, next section. So you see, congratulations. Your German qualification or the full recognition of your foreign qualification qualifies you for a job search opportunity card. Now, all you have to do is apply. So because I selected the first option, that my qualification is fully recognized, that is why I didn't go further. And then they are telling me I am fully recognized. So my foreign qualification is fully recognized, so I can continue to apply for the German opportunity card. Now, do you understand? Now let's go back and choose another answer. So for the purpose of demonstration, I'm selecting maybe somebody from Kenya. Okay, so Kenya. Now I will choose different options here. So do you have qualification that took at least 2 years? I know we've been here already. So let's say you said, yes, yes, I have a non-academic vocational qualification. You select the first one. You go next. The next question, they are asking you that, did you obtain your qualification in Germany? Is it partially or fully recognized in Germany? With a fully recognized qualification or qualification which has been obtained in Germany, you automatically qualify. Okay, so the preamble they've given you, I've explained it already. So let's say you realize that your qualification is partially recognized. Okay, so you select this option. For example, as soon as I select this option, you realize they've given me 4 points, which means I've zoomed in into the option 2 already based on my qualification. Because I told you we have 2 ways based on what we saw in the website. Those that have their qualification fully recognized in Germany, or they obtain their qualification in Germany, they are automatically qualified. But in this case, the guy from Kenya, he has non-academic qualification and it is partially recognized in the German system. So he has 4 points. Okay, now let's move to the next stage. The next question is, which of the following languages skills do you have? You realize that because the person did not have a fully recognized qualification, that is why they have had a further question here. So he has zoomed in into the point system. I repeat again, these things are very simple. So which of the following language skills do you have? I have German language skills at level A1 or above. I have English language skills at level B2 or above. So whichever one that applies to you, you select it. So let's say that you have English language skills at level B2 or above. Let's say that is your qualification as far as the language skill is concerned. You don't have the German language skills. Maybe you have the English. You select. Now, as soon as you select, you click next. Now, they are asking you further question. It is because of your kind of qualification you have and the kind of questions that you are answering, right? Now, they are asking you, you meet the basic language requirement. They are saying you meet it. Are you currently able to demonstrate a profound knowledge of German? So they want to find out if you can actually speak, you have a strong understanding of the German language. So be sincere. Select the one that applies to you. Okay. Now, if you are not able to provide evidence of that, you can select the last one. I am unable to provide evidence of my German language proficiency. I'm selecting this because I know most people might not be learning the German language until probably maybe they are planning to move in there or they are there. So if that happens to be your situation, you select the last one. If you are learning to, you know whether you are in A1, A2, B1, B2. So select which one applies to you. So maybe you are unable to provide evidence of any. Maybe you are learning on other platform, but you don't have qualification certification to show for. So you select that one. Now, as soon as you select, you've not gotten any point two, so it's 0. Now you go to next. Now, remember you have only 4 points. You need only 6 points. Okay. Now they are asking you, are you currently able to demonstrate profound knowledge of English? If that is the case, which level? Okay. I have English language certificate at level C1. So you have to select the one that applies to you. So for the purpose of this demonstration, let's say that you have this one. I have an English language certificate at level C1 or above. So you select that one because it gives you 1 point. You understand? So you select the one that applies to you truthfully. They will go next. So the next thing here asking is your age. You remember they are only asking questions based on the point system that the various categories we mentioned. Realize those are the things that are popping up here in the self-check because of the initial qualification that was 4 points that we selected. Because we were not qualified as, we were not recognized as, we were not fully recognized, but it was partially recognized. So we were just dropped into the other option that is the point system. Do you get it? Good. So now we are at the age session. I'm just trying to make links with the point system and what is happening here. So how old are you? And remember, in the point system, up to the age of 34 or before you attain 35, it is 2 points. But from 35 and above is 1 point. You remember, in the point system, the same thing is applying here. So how old are you? Okay. If you are 18 years up to 34 years, you select that one. Or if you are 35 years up, okay, including up to and including 39 years old. For the purpose of this, let's select this one. Let's say you are 35 years old. So you select this one. You see it gives you 1 point here. Good. So if you are 40 years older, 40 years or older, you get 0 points. Now, let's move on to the next one. Now, because you got 6 points in total, right? They did not go ahead to ask you further questions in the other categories. Remember, we have professional experience. Okay, but we didn't get to that option as far as the point system is concerned. So they just cut it off as soon as they realize you have gotten 6 points, and they've just written congratulations. So you have reached the minimum score 6 points required to qualify for an opportunity card. You cannot take the following steps to apply for the opportunity card visa. Now you get how it works. So whether you have your qualification fully recognized or not, you use the point system. The point system also gives you the same route to qualify for the opportunity card. You see, this is very simple. Good. The other requirement that must be met in order to apply for the opportunity card visa, such as being able to cover your living expenses. I've explained that to you. The block bank account and that of the declaration of commitment, any of them, those two basic requirements, you have to have it in addition to your qualification to fulfill the requirement for qualifying for the opportunity card. So simple. Now, so far as your result they are non-binding. One thing you need to know, these results are non-binding assessment based on your selections. So in order for the assessment to be accurate and helpful, truthful selections are required. I may mention from the beginning that enter only right information, because the Federal Foreign Office is the only body responsible for issuing the opportunity card. So if your qualification is fully recognized and everything, when you tender in the application, it does not mean you automatically get it. It is the Federal Foreign Office that determines it. Okay. So you realize also that we have local points of contact in Kenya, because the person who I use an example is a Kenyan. So the details for the local point of contact can also be seen here. In every country you enter, they have such local point contact as well. Okay.
We've now reached the final stage of this guide. Throughout this video, we've covered the eligibility requirements, the 2 qualification routes, recognition, the points system, the official recognition tools, and the government's self-check. If you followed these steps and you're satisfied that you meet the requirements, the only thing left is to submit your application. In this final section, I'll walk you through the official application process, show you where to apply, and highlight the key documents you'll need before submitting your application.
All right. So now, having gotten all your documents and you are ready to, start the main application for the opportunity card, you have to come to the Consular Services portal and then select the one that is within your jurisdiction. So this is actually the online for the opportunity card. I'll put the link directly to this Consular Service portal in the YouTube description. So if that is your first time of coming to the Consular Service interface, the portal, you will be required to sign in. Okay. Now, for the purposes of demonstration, I'm actually doing it for somebody in Hungary. That person is a third world country who want to move to Germany with the opportunity card. So I actually started the process for one person, and I'm doing it for the second person as well. So I've already signed in and logged in. So you will also see this interface probably. They'll ask you, in which country are you resident? So let's say if you're resident in Ghana, you type in Ghana, you select Ghana, then they will tell you the consular services that is there. It's located in Accra. All right. So if you want to move on, then you select apply online now. Then you click it. Now, because I'm doing it for somebody in Hungary, I'm using it as an example. Now I select Hungary. Remember, the person is from a third world country, even though he is still in the Schengen state. But for the purpose of getting work in Germany, he needs the opportunity card. So it's not only for those that are living outside. If your nationality is outside Germany, you can be anywhere and you can do the application. Take notice of that. So I'm doing this one for somebody who is in Ghana but lives in abroad in the Schengen state and want to go to Germany through the opportunity card system. So I select Budapest. Okay, it came automatically because I selected Hungary. So now all that I have to do is apply online now. They have to consent, confirm. I've already registered on this website already. They are saying that please register to submit one or more information. Okay, That is because I selected the country and then I did not log in directly. So as soon as I start entering my details, the two pop up that I have already registered and my details will come. So for you, if it's your first time, this is the procedure that you follow. So I'm going back and then I'll click sign in at the top here. So as soon as I click sign in, my details just popped up. Okay, so I just sign in. Now, so after logging in, you realize I have some two applications, process 1 and process 2 already. So when you come, you just go here and click the plus sign. Okay, create process. Now when you click it, then you name it. Maybe UT. Maybe YouTube. Okay, now you name you give a set internal name for the process. Okay, now which administrative service of the Federal Foreign Office do you want to use? So you select the administrative service you want to use. You want visa, right? So you click visa. So in which country do you live? So you select the country that you live. Okay, so let's assume that the person is living in Hungary here. So Hungary, because the place that you select will determine the various German mission where they will direct you to, the consular service portal they will direct you to. So in Hungary, so you are saying your responsible German mission is Budapest, right? So if you enter Ghana too, they'll say Accra. If you enter maybe Sierra Leone, probably they'll say Accra, because when you enter Ghana and Accra pops up, you see Sierra Leone being part. So Ghana probably is their responsible German mission. I stand for correction anyway. Now, you click continue. So they'll give you the details of the number of applications that are available here. So you come here and select the one that applies to you that you want to apply. What you want to apply is opportunity card. You select. And the plus signs here means the number of people you are applying it for. You can apply it for a group of people, but this is only one person. Okay, so you select that, only one. Then create process. You click here. Now when you click that, you see the name we give YouTube is here. Okay, in progress. So what they are saying basically at the top here is that you can do the application as an individual or as a group. Okay, so if you already live in Germany and your family want to join you, or you are traveling together as family, yeah, you can do it. Or if you apply for a visa to work in Germany as a skilled worker or to study and you want to enter the country together with your family, that one too you can do. So they are basically saying group, you can do it for group people or as an individual. All right, now let's go to the process itself. So you click open process. The name is YouTube, right? Click open process. Do you get me? Now, because I started this application tutorials in advance for someone in Accra here as an example, I would like to select that one because there are some details in there that I've provided already, which will make the process so smooth and faster. So instead of selecting the YouTube here, I'm actually selecting this process too, which I use it as a tutorial using somebody in Ghana. I hope that is clear. So I'm selecting this open process instead. So, okay, let me go back to the YouTube one for the purposes of those that might get confused. All right. So I'm sticking on the YouTube one here. So open process. Okay. So I click the open process. It brings me to a different interface here. Now, how do you begin to fill your form? We have open application here. So click the open application. It brings you to this interface. So here you are going to basically do three things in the whole process here. One, you're going to do what is called score counter, application form filling, and then providing supporting documents for your application. Okay. So here too, they are saying you must fulfill various qualifications to apply for an opportunity card. You can also use the score counter to find out whether your qualifications, knowledge, and circumstances fulfill this requirement. So we've basically done it already, but they are actually telling you to do it here. Okay. So let's quickly click the count point. So they'll also ask you some few basic questions. Okay. So let's complete it. Now they're asking you professional qualification. So what proof of professional qualification can you provide? So once again, the details we've already explained are the ones they are still asking here. So if you understand up to this point, it will not be a problem. Okay. So what are they trying to say? So they say, please state the professional qualification with which you would like to apply for the opportunity card. So which professional qualification do you have? Do you have a university certificate, a university degree, or you have certificate of completion of vocational training? Which supporting document do you have? Now, let's assume this person have a university degree. So if it is university degree, you select. If you have also completed qualified vocational education, you select. So select the one that applies to you. Up to this point, I know you know your left from your right. Good. So let's say the person have a university degree. So you select university degree. Now, if you want to get more details, see this sign here, the exclamation mark pointing outwards. You click it to give you further details as to what that particular thing means. Okay. So still, you see the vocational training is qualified if the training occupation is state recognized. You understand? State recognized or similarly regulated and trained period of at least 2 years is stipulated by federal or federal state recognition in Germany. So that little thing here, exclamation mark pointing upwards, gives you more detail as to what is there. So we've basically covered most of the thing they're talking about here. Okay. So what is the status of your professional qualification? Once again, if you have gone through the tutorials, you know what you have now and you know your answer. Okay. So they say, please check before answering the following questions. And if already checked here, that is the assumption. So which qualification do you have? These are the various answers you have to provide. Now, one here is my qualification, my professional qualification is recognized in Germany. So when I check with the GIMPA one, it was recognized in Germany. So I select this one. The remaining one, which one applies to you? Anyone that applies to you, just select it. Now, here, livelihood. They are asking my source of livelihood. Whilst you are in Germany working, searching for a job, how are you going to survive? I told you the two basic requirements from the beginning that we stated, apart from your qualification, you need to get some sort of financial proof to support yourself. And I made mention of getting 1,091 net per month as a minimum So you multiply that by 12 months, you get 13,092 euros in your block account. So they are asking you your livelihood. What document are you going to provide? Is it block account? Okay. Or declaration of commitment. So whichever way that you have prepared to use to provide as a proof of funds, you have to pick it up here. So can you earn a living in Germany? If any of these things works for you, you click yes. If you click no, you won't get a good result. So you have to make sure if you really want to move, then you have to get a means of for surviving, right? And also, will you be traveling with your partner? If yes, you have to provide marriage certificate as part of your document, or civil partnership certificate, or extracts from the marriage or civil status register. So if you are going with your partner, you have to know the extra document you have to add. And you are saying, do you have a spouse or partner? And would he or she like to apply for the opportunity card, or has already done so? Select which one applies to you. If no, you have no partner going with you, select no. So as soon as I select no, the result popped up automatically saying qualification as a skilled worker. So it means the information I've provided have put me in the skilled worker category. So I'm qualified. That is the purpose of the score counter, just as we were using the self-check tool. You understand me? Now, so from here, we can proceed to go to application form directly, or we can proceed to go to application overview. So let's go to application overview. Now it is saved. Details is saved upwards, but you can make changes anytime before you make final submission. So this is application overview. So now let's click on open application again. So we are back to the main interface where we have the score counter, we have your application VDEX, and we have your document. So this is the next stage, fill out application. So these are 7 various sessions that you have to fill in. 7 various sessions. Okay. So we click fill out your application. So the first one, the first requirement here is to provide your details. Details of representation. So here, if somebody is doing it for you, that person needs to get what is called a power of attorney. Okay, it may require it for your visa application. So if I am doing it for somebody, the person has to give me the authority to do so. All right. And that information, if I want to provide it, I click go to the form. All right. I click go to the form. You see the drop down menu up here. So I click, it opens up. Then I can get access to the form. So go to the form. Then I'll provide the details of the representation. They are asking, do you submit the application for yourself or for other persons? If I'm doing it for myself, you select, I am the account holder and submit this visa application for myself. You select that, good to go. If not, I am an account holder and submit this application on behalf of another person of legal age. So if I'm the one doing it for somebody, I select the second one. So let's assume you are the one doing, so you select the first one and then you save. Okay, then you go back. Let's scroll upwards and then click the back here. Back. Good. So we are done with 1. You see, it has changed from 0 to 1. So 1 out of 7. So the next thing is what? personal details. So here is where you provide your personal details. So personal details are required for your visa application. Please fill in all fields in this form section completely and carefully. So go to the form section, you click here. Now we begin to do the work here. So now let's find a name here. So let's enter the details. First, family name as usual, right? Okay. So let's use the word Ajiman. So Ajiman is a family name. If you have any middle name or former name, you put it here, just as you fill normal forms, right? Then first names, maybe Kelvin. Kelvin, then you select your date of birth. Okay, select your date of birth. And then your place of birth, maybe you're born in Accra. Then you enter country of birth, Ghana. If Ghana is what applies to you, you scroll down. Okay, select Ghana. Then your sex, maybe male. Of course, Ajiman is male. Maybe you are single because selected you are not going with your partner, so it makes sense. Current nationality, of course, you are a Ghanaian. So you select Ghana. If you have another nationality, you can add here. Or former nationality too, you can also indicate it here. If you don't have. Now here they're saying, do you have children? If you have children, you select yes. If no children, you move on. So let's assume you don't have any children. Now, parent of the applicant, your parent's name. Maybe Ajiman. Your parent, family name of father is Ajiman. Then nationality of father. These are simple steps. Okay, Ghana. Father's date of birth, you provide it. Father's place of birth, Ghana. Then father's place of residence is still in Ghana. Family name of mother, maybe Abuaje. And then maybe Elizabeth. First name of mother. Okay, you provide it. Nationality of mother. So just like filling normal forms. Okay, as you can see. So Ghana, mother's date of birth, you put some date of birth corresponding to your mother's own there, and the mother's place of birth, Ghana, mother's place of residence, Ghana. Then occupation land, you select the kind of occupation, maybe banker. Okay, so this one is important. Occupation land is important. You realize here there is no asterisk, so it's not that much needed. But if you have the information for it, you give it up. Then you save it. So save it to pop up upstairs. Details saved. Now let's move upwards. and go to back. You see, it's supposed to turn to 2, but it's still 1, which means that something was not properly filled in there. And also you realize it has not been ticked. It's still gray, personal details. So let's go back there. Go back, go to the forms again. Now, look through carefully to see where the problem is. Okay. So, you see that they've not provided anything to indicate there is a problem here. However, there is a problem. I hope you've seen it. This is father's name. Okay. Father's first name of father. Let's say it is Alexander, right? So you fill the form quite carefully. And here, there are spaces. That is why it's giving that. Go back. You see, as soon as I reduce the space, the correction has been taking place. So I've seen the problem. Now I save it. Okay, let's go back. I scroll upwards, back. Now you see it has turned to 2 out of 7. So you are making progress. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Here they are saying contact data. You click it, you select, go to the form section. You scroll down. Now, you have to select your current address and contact details. So you have to be very careful here. So here, maybe you select your address. Maybe St. John Street 40. Okay. And then house number, you provide a house number. Then postal code. Then the town. Let's say Domi. Okay. Country. Okay, so country, let's say select Ghana. Okay, where is the G? Okay, so you provide your telephone address, and then you provide your email address as well. Now, is your residence in a country other than that of your current nationality? This is a bit tricky, so realize we are doing it for somebody in Hungary. So if the person's current abode is not the address that they gave, there might be a problem on the form. So they're asking, is your resident in the country other than that of your current address? So if you want to get clarity, you click here. If the applicant does not hold the nationality of the country where he or she actually lives, please select yes. You get it. So yes, it's your residence in a country other than that of you. So you are living in a country where that is not your actual original country. Okay. Now, when you click on that, details on the applicant's right to reside in place of residence. So here, because the place that you are staying is not your current or your original place of abode, but just a place that you are staying temporarily. That's not a national country. Because you selected yes, they want you to provide residence permit and then the resident permit number. I hope you get it. So let's say the person actually selected no. What happens? You realize the extra details goes off. So let's save. Now we save. Let's see if it worked. Okay. Now they say it has worked. So 3 out of 7. Okay. So we are done with that. The next one is identification papers. And here they are saying for your visa application, information about your identification papers is required. Please fill in all fields in this form. So identification papers, you click here, then fill in the various forms. So which type of travel document will you use? Ordinary passport. So if you have the passport number, you type in the passport number here. I just have to enter some password here. Okay, so you enter the passport number. You select the details. Just the ordinary way, normal way of filling forms. Then the issuing state. Okay, Ghana. Okay. Now, you provide the validity and then issued by, so you can look on your passport and then you write the country that issued it. Maybe Accra. Okay, so save it. If it is correct, they will allow you to proceed. Now it's go to 4 out of 7. Okay, now you go to travel data, and travel data, when you click the drop down, when they ask you information about your travel data, they say it is required for your visa application. Please fill in all fields in this form section completely and carefully. So you expand it by clicking go to the forms. Then you begin to enter your details. Travel data and purpose. Purpose of stay in the Federal Republic. So why are you going there? I select order, which is opportunity card. When you say that, they know what it means. Okay, because you are just going there to search for a job, it's not in the option. So how long do you intend to stay there? So you select the maximum for the first time is 12 months. So you select a period of 12 months, stating the time that you want to enter into Germany. So let's say from 15th of August. So you click here, I intend to stay for no more than 12 months in the Federal Territory, and apply for a visa that covers the entire duration of my stay. So you have to make sure that you calculate it very well to meet exactly 12 months. So 15th August 2026 to 14th August 2027. Probably it'll be 12 months, right? Good. Then you save. So you are done with this part. Now we have 5 out of 7. I hope you are following. Now the reference. This is now when it comes here talking about reference. So this could be the person that will receive you when you arrive in Germany, or the person who actually sponsored you with the declaration of commitment form. So you have to get the address and then you enter the address here, because when you look at it here, you have country, you realize Germany is already selected here. It is gray. Germany is selected here, it is gray. Okay, so which means the person has to be in Germany, have an address and accommodation, and can take care of you if the person is your sponsor. If the person is not your sponsor, you still have to get the address. So the reference person here is not an education. You are not attending university. You are only visiting there to go and search for a job. So the reference person, you select the reference person. Let's say the person is your uncle. You enter the uncle's detail. I've provided the details here to fast track this part. Let's say the family name of the person is Stamatia, and then the first name is Dimatia, female. You enter date of birth already. The person's place of birth, Accra, nationality Ghana, and then the person's address, street address in Germany, their house number, okay, their postal code, and the town or city that they are in, they live. Okay, now you enter their telephone number, their email address. If there is any other say alternative spelling surnames or alternative spelling first name, whatever, or whatever information that's left, you have to make sure you put all the information in there, because if this person happens to be your sponsor who got you the declaration of commitment, every detail that they will provide for you here will also be on the declaration form, so there shouldn't be any mismatch. Okay, so after you are done, you save, you move upwards. This place is saved already. You go back. Now we are left with the session. We've done 6 out of 7. So let's go to the last one, which is means of support and details regarding the stay. Okay, now we click the drop down menu, go to the form session. So this is the last session here. So means of support and details regarding. So for your visa application, information about your means of support and details regarding the stay are required. Okay, so here they are asking you means of support. What are your means of support? We've already discussed that you can use the block bank account, which must contain about 13,092 euros, okay, in which 1,091 euros will be given to you for your upkeep every month. You understand? So if it was a block account that you used, then you have to make it known here. If it is the declaration of commitment to that you use, you have to also make it known here. So here, I'm assuming we are using declaration of commitment. Somebody is sponsoring us, right? And they are saying, has a formal declaration of commitment been completed? If yes, you click yes. By who? If the same person is the one referencing you, or you use as a reference, then you select yes by the reference. Okay, if yes by a different sponsor, then you click this one. Do you understand? So each one that you select has its own pop-up details, further details that they will ask. So let's assume that yes by the reference, the one that we use as a reference, the same person is sponsoring us. So we select the second one. And then on the declaration form, there will be the date that the authorities gave you the declaration form. So you have to check on that declaration form and then enter the details here. So you know the authority that issued it. You see the code in the declaration form. So you have to select, and then the date. Okay, they will all be on the declaration form. So you need to get the form before you can fill this part. But if it is block bank account, then you are good to go. Okay, so let's assume it is block bank account or block account. Okay, so if it's block account, that means you did it yourself. So they are saying, has your formal declaration of commitment been completed? If it is no, you click no here. Your means of sustenance is the block account. Then you move on straight forward. Do you get it? Okay, so let's assume that you are sticking with the declaration of commitment, right? And you said yes by the sponsor. And then you select the authority that issued that declaration form in this drop down menu. Then the date it was issued, they are all on the form. Then intended place of stay. So this one, because you know the address, you know where you stay when you travel there. All right, so let's assume these are the details. I'm fast tracking it here because these details are not so difficult to get. When you have the information, you just enter them. So the postal code, even though this one is not a German one, so let me take 64253, something like this. Maybe. So when you have the details of the place, it is easier to fill in this form. Now they are asking you, how will you be accommodated? So you need to find out from the person that you will be staying with, if that is the same person sponsoring you. Maybe you have to get details of the place where they stay. Maybe single room apartment with maybe 3 rooms. Okay, is it collective accommodation? Otherwise specify. So just write the one that applies to you. So you need to get this detail from the person that you will receive you. Take note of that. Okay, now they are saying, do you intend to retain your permanent residence outside the Federal Republic of Germany? Do you intend to retain your permanent residence? Yeah, if you want to understand what they are saying, you click here. So please select this field if you intend to retain a residence outside Germany. Yes, I want to. Where? If yes, which place of residence? Maybe Ghana. You understand? They want to see whether you are willing to go back or not, that kind of thing. So the next one here, do family members intend to accompany you? If yes, you click yes. As at the time you are just making this application, not later on. So if no family member is following you, just don't click anything. If there is, then go ahead. The next one, do you have health insurance for a longer stay? Now, listen carefully here. Most of the time, if you do the block bank account, okay, they add insurance package to it for you. However, if you use the declaration of commitment, because it is somebody that is sponsoring you, it's appropriate for you to buy health insurance yourself. Okay, so there are so many websites you can buy the health insurance. I bought one recently. So you have to get that health insurance. So if you have it, yes, it's not that expensive. And you have to make sure that it's up to the 12 months. Okay, a longer stay insurance. All right, now let's move on. They are here they are asking about previous stays in the Federal Republic. So have you traveled to Germany before? And remember, in the earlier tutorials, we were talking about tourism is not part of the stay. Okay, maybe travel to study or to learn some language skill or work there. Those are valid means. Okay, so have you ever been to the Federal Republic of Germany before? If yes, you click yes. If no, no. If you click yes, further details will pop up. Okay, then you fill the date and the time. But for the purpose of this video, let's say no. Okay, so there are some declarations to be made here. Have you ever been convicted? No. Have you ever been expelled or deported from Federal Republic Germany? No. All these places are no. If it applies to you, you don't have any diseases, right? That they've specified here. SARS, cholera, plague, yellow fever, okay, viral hemorrhagic fever, Ebola. So if none of this thing applies to you, it's just no, no. Then we go and save it. All right, now let's go upwards and then click back. Good, so we are done with the forms filling. So it is telling us to go to the document section. So you click and it takes us to the document section. Now all the information that you have provided, you are going to give evidence of them. All right, so here you have everything on your laptop or your tablet already. That is easier to be located. So document section, various documents are required from you when applying for a visa. Okay, so there are 8 stages. Now take note here, the passport. Make sure that your passport was issued within the last 10 years and is valid for at least 3 months at the time you plan to enter Germany. At least 3 months is valid. At least 3 months. Take note. And it should be better if your passport is valid for a few months longer than the visa you wish to apply for. Okay, so the more years you have before your visa expires, the better for you. And you're saying please submit the pages with your photo and biographical data, as well as any pages containing visa stamps or entries. If you are older than 10 years of age, please also submit the page with your signature if your passport contains a signature field. So for the adults, you have to only take the biodata aspect and any other pages that entails visa stamps and entries. Take note of that. All right. Okay. And then here too, we are talking about proof of habitual residence in the administrative district. So wherever that you are applying, if maybe the person living in Hungary, if you are living in Hungary and you're applying, you have to use there are some evidences. You have to provide an evidence that you are a resident in that place. That is what they are talking about here. So you have to submit an official certificate of residence or registration or an identity document. Okay, so the document must contain your current address. So we have something we call address card here. So maybe if it is in Ghana, it might differ a little bit. Okay, so whatever that serves as a proof that you are residents of that place, you need to provide them. That is a proof of habitual residence in the administrative district. Maybe Ghana card or voters ID card or any driving license. There is might be a specific address that will be appropriate for this place. Okay, so the next one is talking about residence permit in the country of application. So because the person is in Hungary here, every third world person have a resident permit, so you have to upload it here. That's what it's saying. Okay, so if it is in your own country of origin too, you have something, an ID card, international ID card, like maybe the Ghana card, that also serves as a valid resident as a citizen. You can also upload it here. your country too must have their own national identity. That is what they are requesting you to enter here. Okay. So if in case your resident permit has expired, please provide proof that you have applied for renewal. Yes, so even here, if your permit expires and you apply for renewal, they give you a document, temporary one. So if that is your case, you're a third world country, you are abroad and you want to enter Germany and your permit has expired, you have to provide a proof of your renewal. This applies to anyone even outside the EU. Okay. And then you provide all your university degrees here. This place is simple. If it is not in Germany or English, you have to do the proper translation. That's straightforward. And the translation must be recognized in Germany or in the country where you are submitting the application. Okay, so the next one is the recognition of the university degree. So if you remember, we have to verify whether our qualification is recognized in Germany or not. Okay, and whether we need a statement of comparability or we need the DAP system or we need to check for our qualification in the anabin system. All those things are means to get proof, to get evidence of your qualification being recognized in Germany. So depending on your qualification, we went through the various steps that Germany uses to help you get an evidence of your qualification being recognized. I hope you remember that. So whatever proof that you got depending on your qualification, here they are asking you to what? To upload it. Just like that. Okay, so for instance, as I did mine with the GIMPA and it was fully recognized in Germany in the anabin database. In the anabin database, I printed a proof of it. That proof, that this is where I'll upload it. Okay, so if yours also was through the statement of comparability, you also have to upload it here. If it is through the DAP system, okay, you also have to do the upload here. So here is basically about uploading the proof of your qualification. I hope that is quite clear. So they are saying here that if you obtain your degree at higher education institution outside Germany, your degree must be recognized. So I've showed you how to verify for your recognition. The website taught us 3 different ways of doing that depending on your qualification. Okay, so whatever proof that you had, you have to upload it here by clicking the upload file. The next one is recognition of your higher institution. Now, watch carefully here. This one and then this one. You see, this one is a recognition of your university degree in Germany. So in the anabin database, we have the degree column and we have the university column. Good. So the university column is where you are uploaded here. In fact, when you downloaded the PDF file, the anabin, it contains both the status of the school being recognized in Germany and the degree also being recognized in Germany as well. So that particular document contains the two, which means that you are fully recognized. So if you can upload that one here or the degree session here only. And then the recognition of the higher education institute, then the school own too, whereby you see H plus or H plus / minus. I hope you remember that H plus means the school is recognized in Germany. H plus / minus means the school is not fully recognized. And this is where the person will probably need further assessment of their qualification through the ZAP, the German Central Education Office, and get the statement of comparability. Do you get that? So if maybe you find out that your qualification was fully recognized, the download that we did there you can upload it here because it contains both the status of the school and that of the degree. So you can provide them all here. So to put more context on what they are saying here, they said you can use the anabin database to check whether your foreign university is recognized in Germany. That's what we did earlier on in the previous video. And also, your university must have an anabin rating of H plus or H plus / minus. I hope you get it here. Okay, so you have to submit the anabin search results. Okay, you have to submit it here. So that is what I basically explained, and that's what they are saying here. And I'm saying if the higher education institution is classified as H plus / minus in anabin, the note in the comment field must show that the higher education institution is recognized for your degree program in Germany. So you realize I showed you comment as part of that document. Okay, so the details of the comment is what they are referring to you here. So that you should note that in that comment, the field must show that the higher education institution is recognized for your degree program in Germany. Okay. And also, if your higher education institution does not meet this criteria or is not listed, you will need to have a statement of comparability carried out, okay, by the Central Office for Foreign Education. I've made mention of it again. All right, so they are still repeating here. So they says, please submit the statement of comparability here. So whatever proof of qualification you have to support your qualification, you basically upload it here. That is very simple, isn't it? Okay, now you go to proof of secure livelihood. So in a nutshell here, whatever proof that you have to sustain yourself when you come here searching for a job, you upload it here. If it is a block bank account that you have, you upload it here. If it is a declaration of commitment, you upload it here. You understand? That is what this place is all about. Okay, so it could be block bank account or declaration of commitment. You understand? So this link here, opening and closing a block bank account. When you click here, it takes you to the interface here. Those of you that maybe are wondering, how can I open block bank account? The information is here. Okay, opening block bank account, but we can do separate video on this one later. If you want, you can put it in the comment section, then I'll do some search on it and then make a video on it for you. So if a declaration of commitment is what you have, you just upload it here. And I've already illustrated this already. If a person living in Germany agrees to cover your cost, this person can submit a declaration of commitment to the local immigration office in Germany. The financial capacity must be marked as proven in the declaration of commitment and issued for the corresponding purpose of entry. Yes, so declaration of commitment, I'll show you a copy of how it looks like, okay, later on when we finish this video. This is Educhum Perspective. We explain what matters. Today we are talking about traveling opportunity. Tomorrow we might talk about different things that also add value to human beings' life. So if you like this video and you want more traveling opportunities, such as maybe opportunity to travel to study abroad and immigration information and relationships, politics, kindly subscribe. The more you comment, the more I know which area that you want us to actually focus and do more video on. So kindly subscribe, share, comment. Okay, thank you. Now, the next one is the proof of health insurance. So this is where you kind of upload the health insurance you have. Okay, so if you are not sure about the health insurance that you should have, I can assist you to get a better one or show you a website where you can get. They are expert in providing expert compliance health insurance. So the block account comes with a health insurance. And then if you also use that of the declaration of commitment, you have to get your own insurance yourself. Okay, so to throw more light on the information here, they say if you will be insured with a statutory insurance, please submit the confirmation of the statutory insurance as well as a so-called incoming insurance. Okay, so you can read this one for much more details. However, the bottom line is whichever health insurance you have to upload it here. Okay, I'm saying whichever health insurance because I'm referring to if you're using block account, they know what health insurance that is good for you, so they will give you the correct one. And if you're using declaration of commitment, the website or the place that you can go and buy, if you let them know you're using it for opportunity card, they know what to give to you or the options that is there that will help you because that is their area of expertise. That is what I mean by the type of health insurance that you get. And it should cover the duration that you stay there. All right. Now here are optional documents. So if you have any pre-arrival form from the Foreigners Authority, then you can upload it here too. Maybe if you want your process to be fast-tracked or you have a notice that maybe they need you as a skilled labor worker and you can't wait long queue and you have received some visa pre-approval already, then you have to upload it here so that the immigration authorities will fast-track your process for you. That is what this pre-approval from the Foreigners Authority is basically talking about. Okay. So they are saying that if you have received pre-approval, please also upload proof of your health insurance in a corresponding upload field. All right. So finally, if you have any other relevant document to support your application, do not leave any stone unturned. Just add it, upload it here. Okay. You can add any other document to explain your details and personal circumstances to the German mission with further relevant information. Maybe you have some motivation letter to write as an example. You can also add it here as other documents because you are going there to search for a job. So if you have motivational letter attached to it explaining what you are going there to do and everything with your skills and stuff, I think it will make sense. So that is basically it with the entire application process. All right, so from day one, from the first video, we look at the various requirements, we look at the various routes, we look at how to check for your qualification. German have different forms of checking your qualification to get approved, whether you are professional, non-regulated or non-regulated profession. Okay, then we went ahead to check for state recognition of your qualifications, basically using the DAB, the anabin statement of comparability, right? So after you've been able to know your qualification, the next thing that you have to do is that which route applies to you. Is it a point system or the qualification route? You need to also get your basic requirements such as your means of financial proof, how you're going to survive in Germany, whether you use a block account or you use the declaration of commitment. You can do your self-check, enter your information, and then start the opportunity card application process. This is a summary of everything that you've done so far in this video. So at the end of the day, you will have 8 out of 8 here. Okay, yeah, so you can follow similar process as I've done, and then when you are done, you just submit your application. When you submit it, whatever feedback that they have, if they want you to do some correction within some few days, depending on where you are putting your application, they will just send you some corrections to be made. Bear in mind, when you use phone scan, sometimes it doesn't turn up well. So any scan you want to do, make sure you use the one outside to do your scan. I've had similar experience, that's why I'm trying to share it. Thank you. And that's a complete step-by-step guide to the Germany Opportunity Card, from the basic requirement and qualification route to recognition, the point system, the anabin database, and official self-check, and the application process. I hope this video has made the process much clearer and giving you the confidence to take the next step in your journey. If you found this guide helpful, please give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and also give it to someone who might benefit from it. And consider subscribing to the Editum Perspective. On this channel, we simplify complex topics and explain what matters, from immigration and career opportunities to business, to artificial intelligence, technology, and politics, relationships, and the ideas that is shaping our world, so that you can make an informed decisions with confidence. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care. Choose.